first of all, where were you on Friday when this decision came down? And what does it mean for you guys and your business?
Well, I didn't think the decision was going to come down before the State of the Union, so I was on an ordinary one-on-one with my son, who runs our sales organization, and we were talking about the New York Toy Fair. And at about 9:03, he says, hold on. They're deciding our case. He said, we won. And that was how I found out. It means a lot. Bringing this case has been a tremendous effort. And we're on a mission to win the case. We asserted that the law was being misapplied and the tariff was an unlawful tax, and we're validated on that. We believe that the case also is an endorsement of rule of law, where everyone stands equally before the law, which is very important. And of course, it's a test of James Madison's design of our government, where there's separation of powers. And importantly, Congress has the non-delegable responsibility for determining what taxes will be imposed on Americans like us.
And yet now we have the president coming back with across-the-board tariffs. So what has really changed for you? Has anything really changed?
Well, I think that the decision of the Supreme Court changes a lot of things, and so you can't take away from that. In terms of economically, for a blink, we were tax-free, which is what we should have been, and then tariffs were imposed on Friday to the tune of 10%, and Saturday morning, the government raised the taxes to 15%. I think a year ago, my hair would have fallen out about this, but I am so used to the tax rates changing every day or two for no particular reason that nothing's a surprise anymore.
So what do you do in terms of business strategy? And I'm just thinking, Rick, a small business owner reached out to me, actually the head of Hoboken Farms, who we had on here, and he runs farmers markets and has products in stores all around the country, and just said, had folks calling him and suppliers and so on and so forth, trying to figure things out. What has changed in that regard? Is there a level of uncertainty that's once again kind of thrown into your thinking about things?
I think the environment of uncertainty is incredibly misguided and unfortunate. So don't misunderstand. I'm not happy about that, but I can tell you that we have a growing sense in our business that we really need to focus on the future and on growing our business. We're mission driven, so we want to serve children and help them get a great start in life. So we're navigating back to normal, and normal is a way of looking at things, not a set of conditions. I don't have any control over what Mr. Trump decides to do. Yeah. He's going to do whatever he decides to do. But we're going to control what we can control. And right now, I think the focus should be on being a bigger, more impactful company.
So would you not consider any additional litigation given the new tariff structure?
Well, it's not really in my character or personality to saber rattle. I think that we have rights and we will assess them. And if it makes sense, we will pursue a remedy. I'm actually hopeful that, like the stock market reaction today, hopefully there will be forces that don't emanate from us that will cause cooler heads to prevail. I don't think the stock market or the Europeans or any of our trading partners were too excited about this weekend's announcements, nor was I.
No, that's a fair point. What about refunds? Give me an idea. One of the things that we've really been trying to figure out, Rick, is what's the legal process for that. Most folks have said this is going to take 2 to 3 years to figure out. We know there's been governors across the country. We mentioned California Governor Newsom, also Governor Pritzker, reaching out basically to the White House saying, here's what you owe our citizens. But I'm just curious, when it comes to refunds, is there a step here legally that you are starting to pursue, or do you wait on that?
Well, I'd say, first of all, as a company, we're put in a very awkward position. We're being asked to put Humpty Dumpty back together again, but it wasn't our great idea to push him off the wall. And so I don't know how perfectly we can do that. In terms of like whether there will be refunds, I think the Supreme Court was right to focus on whether or not the tariff was lawful or unlawful. There is existing law, plenty of it, plus court filings on top of that, that govern how overcollection of taxes is returned to Americans. The U.S. government does that to the tune of millions of checks a year for income tax. They know perfectly well how to do it. They knew what they collected from us, when, where, and how, and they can reverse the gears and give it back to us. I don't see any reason it should take 2 to 3 years, other than the fact that there may be folks in the administration that just don't care to give us our property back. If that's the case, then I guess we'll have to fight about it. But hopefully the court ruling and the spirit of government of the people, by the people, for the people won't cause a war between the people and its government.
I want to go back to what you said about the uncertainty and how perhaps people, it seems like you were saying people were being too pessimistic about just how much uncertainty there is on this. So as, someone who was kind of at the forefront of the legal case, as a business owner, what do you think people are missing here when they say that there's just way more uncertainty now when it comes to tariffs?
Oh, I'm not disparaging that. I'm just simply saying that we made a choice for ourselves. After all, if you put this in context, the last 5 or 6 years, it's been more or less a steady crisis environment. And I think that we as a company do better when we are proactive rather than reactive. And so I just wanted to end the posture of reacting to a news cycle and get back to the foundational idea that we should look years out ahead and grow towards that goal and try to ignore the news cycle, what was in the paper today. There's going to be uncertainty. There's never been a time there wasn't uncertainty. There certainly was a time that was better administered, but uncertainty is part of life.